to determine whether there's a correlation between GDP of a country and space exploration. So these are some articles related to space exploration and budget of countries, and they study three distinct hypotheses will be tested. So from 1957 to 2020, the total number of space launches, successful space launches, and failed space launches will be compared to respective countries' GDP. So these are the variables under my study. So for the method and strategy, I plan to make two single interactive graphs using Plotly. But this gives you a rough idea of what I want to do for my visualization. My expected results is, so the will to explore space will not depend on the country GDP, but on the country's sheer interest to explore space. A null hypothesis will arise if the number of space launches is directly proportional to the country's GDP attributed to space exploration. So my expected benefits are quite interesting. So if my expected results turn out to be true, then that would mean that countries which thought that they would not be able to embark on space exploration because of budgetary reasons can take example of similar countries that despite limited financial resources, they were able to explore space. With more countries willing to explore space, this could mean a huge transformation in the life of humans. We could unveil the wake-up mystery of space. So these are some challenges I had to learn Plotly, and I had to learn how to make all the information available on a single graph. So this was my timing from midterm break to week 12. So these are my initial visualization. So this is the graph for space launch, and this is a graph for GDP observation. So there was a list of observations that were made from the two graphs. You can see here. These were some new challenges that I faced. So in conclusion, it can be seen that a total of 15 countries were engaged in space exploration. USA and Russia have always been two giant powerhouses, and countries such as Japan, Israel, or South Korea has also attempted to join them. But from all of the above countries, Israel and South Korea stand out. At the time that Israel wanted to do space exploration, its GDP was 100 times smaller, and for South Korea, the GDP was 150 times smaller than that of USA. Israel was successful into launching Opec 1, but South Korea failed. Therefore, it can be concluded that countries with a modest GDP which are willing to explore space should follow the lead of Israel and South Korea. So these are my data sets, these are some resources, and thank you for your attention. So the second part of the video will explain how I did my visualization. So firstly, I had to import my libraries, that is Pandas, Plotly, and then Chart Studio that I use to upload my visualization on a website. So let me just run this and run this. So this is like the code that you have to write in order to access your Chart Studio account. Now I have to read the Global Space Launch CSV file. In that file, in order to plot the histogram, the data frame was passed as a parameter. The x-axis was the company's country of origin. The color, that is the success or failure, was the status mission. The animation frame was the year, and the title was Space Launchers. Here the layout is updated so that Space Launchers could be a bit bigger and then more like in the center. So then the data frame for GDP was red, and then I had to sort the data manually in order to obtain relevant data to countries that have only performed space exploration. I had to manually do it here, as you can see. And then here, I had to plot the bar chart of this data frame. That is the data frame that I have merged with all the countries that are concerned with space exploration. The x-axis was given the value of the GDP. the y-axis was given the country's name, and then the year was given as the animation frame. The title was GDP of countries involved in space exploration, and here I had to just update the layout so that GDPs of countries involved in space exploration was made a bit bigger and then more justified. So we run this, and then we run here. It will take us to a new page where I can show you my visualization. So here let's just see the first visualization, which is space launch. So there's this time frame down there, and then now here when you like put your cursor, then it will tell you the count and whether the status mission was success or not. And here for USA, you can see that there was a mission failure and the count is 1. And now let's see how the animation frame changes. But before I start that, I would like to mention that Plotly does not support smooth transition for histogram. Uh, you can read it here. So Plotly um, does not support accurate transition for histogram. So if you just click here, you can see that here Plotly will not automatically complete the union of wait no yeah so smooth interframe transition are only possible with scatter and bar plot and that histogram. Now let's just see how you can interact with the graph. So you press play here, then you click on auto scale each time, and you will see how the graph changes from 1957 to 2020. So as you go along, you have to click on the auto scale. So we are at 2019, 2020. So in 2020, you can see that there's Israel here with one successful mission and one unsuccessful mission. And you can see your countries such as USA, 22 space launches, which is quite significant, and countries such as China with 19. Now, let's see the GDP of countries involved in space exploration. So likewise, a, now a bar chart was made. So you have Italy, Japan, China, United Kingdom, and whatever. So you can see the value of the GDP in billion right now. So if you just click on the animation frame, you will see how things work. Nearly done, and it's done. So now you can see that United States had 18.6 trillion of GDP in 2016, and all the other countries' information can be obtained right here. That's it. Thank you for your attention.